just to hang out, relax. Here you've got campsites. You know, you can hang out by the river. If you had friends, family, you can bring them here. You could also, you know, got great campsites, pitch a tent, campfire, be roasting s'mores, marshmallows, all that stuff, hanging out under these beautifully clear, nice, clean air. Beautifully clear skies, nice, clean air. You can get a great view of the starry sky at night. So just an awesome place to be in general. But I want to get more into the challenges we're going to be looking at today because we're here with the GWM Power 2.4T Off-Road Edition. Now, this is a continuation of kind of the classic look and classic style of prior Pours, but we've upgraded the performance, given it more power, and this vehicle here, GWM, has done a great job of combining cutting-edge tech, power and performance, high load capacities, and even great fuel consumption, especially when it comes to pick up trucks. So I want to start you guys off with the exterior here, because you can see, just looking from right here, it's a beautiful vehicle, especially this nice kind of dark red, this maroon. It has a very strong and powerful feeling to it, especially when you start off with the front of the vehicle, because this kind of makes your first impression when you look at a vehicle. It's the first thing you see. And this grille right here carries a lot of power, makes a bold impression. It's also got the GWM in the middle, kind of with the air vent in the middle, but it's kind of a cool design. Kept it simple though, nice and clean. I like it. It's low key, but it's also tough. It's also powerful and bold. And you see right here, we've got full metal front and rear bumpers. So that also really adds to the aesthetic of it, really gives it that rugged look. But at the same time, the utility of it is also amazing because that is going to provide a lot of protection for your vehicle. Because let's face it, when you're out off-roading, you could come across all sorts of scenarios. There might be some kinds of impacts. So those full metal front and rear bumpers are going to provide a lot of protection for you. And I like the hood, the body lines on this thing as well. You can see how the hood kind of raises in the middle. It kind of gives it that muscly look, kind of conveys more of that powerful sense of the vehicle to it. And the headlights as well. I'm gonna bring you over to these headlights. So these headlights, nice and clean, a very modern look, but these headlights are very practical as well. You're gonna have great illumination, whether you be in very dark areas, driving at night, you know, especially if you're off-road, there are no lights on the side of the road. So this is really going to light up your environment. This is going to be very important when you're in complex environments, and it's really going to increase your awareness of where you are and where your vehicle is at all times, which is key, especially when you're in, you know, slightly more dangerous, more off-road environments. So as we come around even more, you see the body lines of this vehicle, very sleek, very pretty. You come over here, we've got the 18-inch tires right here. This thing, all-terrain, going to take you really wherever you like, and you have a lot of options when it comes to tires as well to suit your environment and suit what you're looking to do with it. And then you see the wheel covers right here kind of flare out as well. And I really like that you've got kind of the exposed bolts right here, so that also gives it a more rugged look. And just practically speaking, it's also going to help because off-road environments, you've got gravel, you've got dirt, you've got mud, you've got all sorts of debris. It's also going to protect your vehicle in that sense as well. So we go more through the vehicle. You see we got this baby right here. You've got the water snorkel. So this is going to be a big deal if you're ever wading through water. With this baby attached right here, your vehicle can go down through depths of up to 700 millimeters or about 70 centimeters. So this is going to protect your engine a lot because everybody knows you don't want water in your engine. So the water is nice and sealed up. It's protected from any external water flow. And this thing right here, this water snorkel is going to allow you to go to depths of 70 centimeters. So that is really important, especially if you're crossing through rivers, crossing through streams, you know, wherever you may be taking this vehicle. And you see right here, we also have the side step. Metal side steps, factory installed. So this vehicle is not a short vehicle. I mean, you know, I am 175 centimeters tall, about 5'9", and you can see this vehicle is taller than me. So it really dwarfs you to stand next to it. So a thing like this, the side step, this is going to be, make getting in the vehicle a lot easier, especially because we have high ground clearance. And, that's important when you're off-roading. You don't want your vehicle, the bottom of it, to be dragging. So that's why they got this side step in here. Also factory installed, complete with the vehicle. This is also going to provide some extra protection for the entire body of the vehicle. And, down here we also have great shocks, great suspension system. I want to take you guys around to the back as well. We can check out kind of the truck bed, the tailgate. This is what I was talking. This is the rear metal bumper right here. And you see, we got this tailgate right here. This thing's really cool. So really easy to use. Open it just like that. And heck, I could hop on this truck because, I'm a tough guy. But, if you got friends, family with you, you got children, you also got that side step you can pull out just like that. You just hop up there, 1 foot, makes getting in your vehicle really easy. And this truck right here, the truck bed, it comes with a lining right here that is going to protect against the truck bed from getting dirty, water. It's also going to protect against scraping because who knows what you're hauling back here, tools, things that are related to your hobbies. You could put like a kayak back here or something. That's going to prevent any scratching when you're pulling it in, or when you're putting it in, or when you're pulling it out. And you can see that, like, I could just kind of like sit back here. You can see there is a lot of room in the back of this truck bed. So this thing is 1.52 meters by 1.52 meters. So that is a lot of space. It's also 54 centimeters deep. So you're really getting a lot of load space capacity for whatever you want to put back here. So let me hop out of this truck bed and see, look, just like this. Pull it up, slide it in, throw it back up. That's it. And now let me take you guys back around to the front of this vehicle. It's also got another cool feature that I want to show you. This thing is the T-Max winch. So right here, we've got the T-Max winch. This thing is going to be helpful in getting you out of all sorts of sticky situations. So this thing is capable of pulling 9,500 pounds. That's a towing force of 9,500 pounds. That is over 4 tons. So it could be that you're driving your vehicle, you're doing something crazy with it, you get it stuck in the mud, you get it stuck in a pit, you pull out this winch, throw it around a tree, you're going to be able to get your vehicle out of there. I was talking with an actual owner of a GWM 2.4T Power, and they were telling me about how they have used this winch numerous times to get themselves out of situations. Also, this winch is going to be great for rescuing other vehicles as well. So if you like going off-roading with your friends, they've got off-road vehicles as well. Maybe they get stuck. Use that T-Max winch, pull them right out. So very cool. I also want to talk to you guys about what is under the hood, the engine. So in here, we call this baby the GWM Power 2.4T Off-Road Edition. Why is it the 2.4T? Because this thing's got a 2.4 liter turbocharged diesel engine. Now that packs a lot of power. We're talking about max power of 135 kilowatts. It's also going to provide you torque of 480 Newton meters. And it can provide that torque at low speeds as well, which is very important because, if you're driving up steep slopes or you're driving in very rugged conditions, you need that consistent, stable, high torque, but at low speeds. So this is going to be instrumental in getting you where you want to go in a stable and consistent fashion. And yeah, a lot of power there. This thing is also coupled with a great transmission. A 9-speed automatic transmission works beautifully in conjunction with this engine right here to provide you with the ultimate driving experience. So this 9-speed automatic transmission, it has a great, what we call low gear, large speed ratio, which means, like I was talking about before, even if your speed is relatively low, we're talking about 1,500 RPMs, you can be outputting maximum torque, 480 Newton meters, while at low speeds. So that's going to be very important when you're in rugged environments. And now if you're cruising at high speeds, it also has an ultra wide gear ratio, which means you're cruising at high speeds, but the switch between gears, the gearbox, it's going to operate very smoothly, very consistently, going to provide a lot of stability for your vehicle and make your ride just much smoother overall. This transmission also has a max torque capacity, what it is able to handle, what it is able to withstand of 750 Newton meters. So that is a very strong, very stable, very durable transmission. So yeah, that T-Max winch is going to help you out in a lot of tricky situations, a lot of predicaments. I want to show you guys though what is under the hood, because this thing is a lot of fun. So let's pop this hood real quick. 1,500 RPMs. So you are maintaining very high, very consistent torque, even at low speeds. And now that is going to be crucial when it comes to things like going up steep slopes, when it comes to things like traversing all sorts of rugged conditions. You need that consistent power output. So this thing, we've also got a transmission in here as well, the 9-speed automatic transmission. This thing works flawlessly, seamlessly, just magically with this engine right here as well to provide a very good, fully integrated system. So this 9-speed automatic transmission, we are looking at features like a very good large or low gear, large speed ratio, low gear, large speed ratio, which means, like I was saying before, that even at low speeds, we are getting that maximum torque, 480 Newton meters. If you're driving at high speeds, you have the ultra wide gear ratio, which means that when you're cruising at high speeds, the switch between gears is going to be very smooth, going to be very fluent. It's going to ensure a stable and smooth ride even at high speeds. This transmission, it also has great ability to adapt to any kind of conditions, any kind of terrains. So that means that when you are, going through very kind of interesting areas, this transmission is going to be capable of taking on forces, taking on loads of 750 Newton meters of torque. So that is going to be essential. But I mean, I could sit here and talk about this all day. Let's get behind the wheel of this thing, take it on the road, and really see what this baby can do, because that is where the fun's at. So let's get to our challenges. All right, here we go. Let's start off with our first challenge right here. We've got the obstacle course. We've got the professional driver with us. Thank goodness. I would not be able to handle this myself, nor do I dare. We're going to be trying out a lot of the different driving modes. This thing has 6 different driving modes. We're going to see some of the, low gear, 4-wheel drive in action, stuff like that. We're coming up on our first obstacle, the rolling mountains. Oh man, these are tall. Whoa, whoa. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, we're traversing some pretty tall hills right here, but it's actually, I would say, pretty stable. He just switched on the, the rear axle differential lock, and that makes it to where if any wheels get popped up, they don't just spin out. It delivers the traction, it delivers the power to the effective wheel, the one that's still on the ground. So that made us able to roll through that real smoothly. He just put that differential lock on there. All right, so this next one, there's no road here. Oh my goodness, it's stairs. Woo! He's driving this thing right downstairs. Oh, okay. That's actually surprisingly smooth. If I close my eyes, I feel like I would not even be able to tell that we're on stairs. But that's like the very strong suspension there. That is the shocks doing their work, really reducing all the bumps and the jolts. So it's really a smooth journey. That's also that differential lock there as well, because it's a very uneven, irregular surface. Make sure the effective tire wheel is getting that traction, that torque. 就要爬这个吗？对。这多少度啊？40. 40 degrees right here. This is the dreaded mini mountain. He's about to take this truck right up this thing. I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. This is extremely steep. I've never been in a vehicle going on this steep of a road, but here we go. Pray for me. Whoa. Whoa. Oh my goodness, right up there just like that. Such like a smooth and consistent speed too. That is that low gear 4-wheel drive in effect. 480 Newton meters of torque, even at low speeds, just like that, low RPMs, it still delivers that constant power. Now, 这个还得下去啊。对。Oh, we got to go down it too. Oh my goodness. This is like a free roller coaster ride I'm getting right here. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, all right. That's pretty stable. Not a rush down or anything. That's strong brake, strong power with all the torque right there as well. That was a surprisingly smooth ride right down that. You know, that's 40 degrees as well. And luckily, you know, when you come up to it, you also have good approach and departure angles. You're not gonna smash your bumper there. Pretty cool. So yeah, that power, 135 kilowatts of power, 480 maximum torque, even at low speeds like that. That was our low gear 4-wheel drive. Impressive. All right, so now we're coming up on these bumps right here. These are gonna pop our wheels up. So you got one wheel kind of popped up uneven, but you got those rear and front axle differential locks in there. Also a very high powered suspension. It makes it a smooth ride. Okay, this is the teeter-totter. Whoa. All right, going up one side and then the other side, very uneven, but actually I'm still pretty stable in the center of the car here. That is that very strong suspension, making it to where your car, it's, you know, even if it got really bad, gonna flip your car over, tilt it over. This keeps us very centered, very level, that suspension there. Also, like I was saying, the differential locks, it's making sure that the tires, the wheels that are in effect are getting, the wheels that have grip are getting the majority of the torque. They're getting the power there. Also, the strong, high strength steel body also makes it to where if we're going over a teeter-totter like that, uneven ground, it's not gonna warp our frame. It's not gonna mess our truck up. So that is very important as well. What is this? A seesaw? Or 跷跷板?
跷跷板.
This is a seesaw for trucks? I've never seen something like this. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're about to go up a seesaw for vehicles. All right. I think he's putting it in, yeah, he just put it in low gear 4-wheel drive because this is a steep angle right here. Ooh, all right. We got a good approach angle, 30-degree approach angle, so we're not scraping our bumper on that seesaw. And now we're up. We go past the fulcrum. Ooh, don't go over the edge, please. Okay. Woo. And then, ooh, down just like that. That was like graceful, I would almost say. Just the way it went up there real smooth, parked right in place, perfectly stable, let the seesaw come down, and then we're right off of it. So the approach angle of 30 degrees. When we leave this seesaw, we also have the departure angle of 26 degrees, not gonna scrape our rear bumper. Oh my goodness. Back up the stairs. Yo,爬楼梯啦.
对，上。
Oh goodness. Okay, now we're going up the stairs. Okay, so right here, this is where we also need that approach angle of 30 degrees. Let's do it. All right, so he's got it back in the low 4-wheel drive, low gear 4-wheel drive, and just up just like that. We've also got great ground clearance on this vehicle. It's raised up high off the ground, so you're not scraping on those stairs. That's also very important. Ooh, this is a rocky road. All right, this is a cobblestone path. I've been waiting for this one. And luckily here, because this is a pretty bumpy road and very irregular, a lot of ones where you can see right through the chassis, you can see what is around you and under you. You know exactly what's going on. You've got that consistent, sustained 480 Newton meter torque. Luckily, we've got high clearance. We've got that sustained torque at low speeds like this, getting us through nice and smooth. Even if we were to scrape the underbelly of our vehicle, the chassis, it's got 3mm metal armor on the chassis as well, protects the engine, the gearbox, the transmission, the fuel tank, and all that. And we just cruised out of there just like that. So I was looking at that, I'm like, this is gonna be a bumpy ride. I might puke. But it's got powerful, very powerful suspension. It's got great shocks. It really just diminished a lot of those bumps, those jolts there. And you know, like I was saying, the 6 different driving modes, all those different gears, sandy conditions, muddy conditions, rocky conditions like that as well. Muddy conditions, it gets you through all of it. So that was awesome. 辛苦了，师傅. This guy's so chill. He just took it like it was nothing. I guess he's used to it. All right, to the next one. All right, so we just made it through the obstacle course. We've been pretty successful so far, but the next challenge is, I would say, even more crazy. So I'm gonna show you guys where we're going. So for this next part, our next challenge, you see the top of those mountains over there. So we're still in the Wolf Tooth Mountain area. We're going to get to the top of those mountains. We're taking this vehicle up some real deal nature trails, see how this thing actually performs in the real world. But to get there, we still have to make it through a lot of different obstacles on the way. We got to go through a river. We've got water, muddy trails, rocky roads, all that. So let's see how it performs. Let's do this. All right, here we go. The next adventure begins. All right, here we go. We are starting out. So right here we are by this river, and we are going to make our way into the depths of this valley. And then from the valley, we're going to be encountering some muddy tracks there, some pretty tough paths. There's going to be a lot of water. And then once we get through that, we will start climbing the mountain. So we've got quite a few obstacles, quite a few challenges to get through here. As you can see here, right here, we're going to be moving over this little waterfall we got going here. So start wading through some water right now. This water is pretty shallow though. It gets some pretty splashing going on, but nothing too crazy in terms of depth. But that'll probably be a little different in a bit. Now we're coming around. So right now we're just kind of in our basic two-wheel drive mode because, you know, flat ground like this, you really don't need four-wheel drive. So this is when you're going to be, so you can have that much mileage, which is very impressive. And then in a bit, we're going to be getting into a little bit more tricky environments, stuff that is a little more difficult to get through. So we're going to be using our different driving modes. Like I said, this thing's got 6 different driving modes: sandy conditions, muddy conditions, snowy conditions. You've got two-wheel drive and you've got four-wheel drive, both in high gear and low gear. All right, so we're going off the beaten path right now. We're going into a much more off-road scenario, and oh my goodness. Oh, all right. So he's taking us right into the water right here. We're no longer driving by the river. We're driving in the river. Okay, so this would be a good time for us to open up this 360-degree view, and you can see it's got the transparent chassis. So I can see all the rocks, the pebbles, the water underneath me as we drive over them. So you can see right through the chassis, you can see your surroundings, you can see exactly where we're driving. And I can tell that this is an extremely bumpy area, very uneven, very irregular, but the suspension on this vehicle is phenomenal. The shocks as well, so it's actually a pretty smooth ride. And we don't really have to worry too much about the depth of the water because we have this snorkel on the side of the truck as well, the water snorkel, so that is going to provide us with depths up to 70 centimeters. So we can go as deep as 70 centimeters and it is not going to mess up our engine. We are not going to be risking getting water into our engine. All right, so we're out of there. Now we're back on dry land. It's a bit bumpy, but nothing this vehicle can't handle. So this ground right here it's pretty dirty, a little sandy, but it's still pretty compact. It's not particularly loose soil, so it doesn't really require us to really redistribute the torque or use four-wheel drive or any of that. It's flat enough to where it's not going to pose much of a challenge to us. But when it does, this vehicle is able to automatically recognize different conditions because it has the smart part-time four-wheel drive. So it is able to recognize itself when the going gets tough, when the ground becomes a little more uneven, irregular, when you're getting a lot of potholes and bumps. It is able to switch between different driving modes, and it will also have a better, smarter distribution of power. So like here, we're getting into kind of a muddy area and you see it's very uneven. So there's kind of two aspects to this. You've got an uneven surface, so your tires are going to kind of be one up, one down, and then you also have loose soil. It's very muddy right here. So your wheels might also lose grip or lose traction. Luckily, the part-time four-wheel drive, it is able to redistribute that torque to the most effective tires, the ones that currently have the most grip. So you see here, look, we're like almost starting to ride like diagonally, but I'm actually still pretty centered in the vehicle because you have that very strong suspension that keeps the vehicle nice and even. You have the shocks that reduce a lot of the bumps, a lot of the jolts, and then you also have that consistent torque and that those rear and front axis differential locks that are distributing the torque nice and even throughout the vehicle. All right, so now we have arrived at a pretty steep slope right here. We've made it through some of the more challenging wet areas. We waded through the water. We had our snorkel right here, so even if we get into the water, we can go up to 70 centimeters of water and it's not going to pose a threat for our engine with entering water. But now we are here at the foot of the mountain and we are going up this thing. Oh man, this is a little nerve-wracking. Look at that. Wow, that is pretty steep. All right, so our driver has just thrown this baby into 4-wheel drive. When we're going up pretty steep slopes like this, we're gonna need that 4-wheel drive because we want that high amount of torque. Even if we're going, you see, we're not going particularly fast here because we need it stable. But this thing, even at slow speeds, like 1,500 RPMs, we still have an output, a maximum torque output of 480 Newton meters. So it's a continuous, steady flow of power that is just pushing us up this hill. So it's nice and smooth. We don't have to start and stop. And you see this ground very uneven. You can see the vehicle shaking. And like the ground is so uneven, you got potholes coming up right here. Get ready. Ooh. He's so chill, he doesn't even care. I guess he's been down this road a couple times. He's pretty familiar with this vehicle. Not worried at all. But you see those potholes, you could easily get stuck in there. You know, you got one wheel that's gone down, the other wheel pops up. It could potentially spin out. It's not getting grip, but luckily we've got front axis, rear axis differential locks that is going to make sure that the tire that has the grip, that is the effective tire, the wheel that is in contact with the ground, that is getting the most torque. And that's also a part of the part-time 4-wheel drive system, that smart distribution of power. So when you've got, you know, maybe if you're on a flat road, it doesn't matter. You just 2-wheel drive and both wheels are doing about the same amount of work. But when it gets uneven like this, when it gets steep like this, your tires, your wheels are really fighting to grip the road, and one tire might be up, one tire might be down, so you need a system that is going to be able to distribute that power where it is most effectively used. And that's what the GWM Power 2.4T Off-Road Edition just does so beautifully and so efficiently. It's that smart distribution of power, that torque. And you know, the engine, you know, we got the 2.4 liter turbocharged diesel engine. This thing just, you know, packs a punch to begin with. You got 135 kilowatt power. So man, we're getting pretty high up here now. So we've already gotten pretty high up the mountain. We're going down some of these. So look at that, like we go up, then we go down, then we go up, and then we go down. But you see the speed at all times is very controlled. It's very steady. You don't feel start and stop. And our driver, he doesn't really have to mess with the gas pedal too much. He doesn't have to keep giving gas and less gas. It is able to, you know, even if you don't mess with the accelerator too much, the torque is still able to be provided at a very steady rate. So here we've evened out again, but we've got, I want to say this is maybe 20 or 30 degree climb coming up here. Also very uneven ground. And I'm seeing like, so I'm looking at the 360 degree view on here, and you can see the transparent chassis. You can see under the vehicle, and it's just all sorts of cobblestone rocks, just all sorts of gravel, very uneven, but the shocks are able to absorb so much of those bumps, so much of those jolts, that it really still makes for a pleasant driving experience. Like, at least I have not puked yet, so that says something. And like before, when we were down there and we had the muddy road, you know, you could tell like on the muddy terrain that some of those areas, like on the right side of the vehicle maybe, it's much looser soil, and you could be potentially worried about an uneven distribution of power and you spinning out on the right side. But you have the smart distribution of power, and that kind of keeps you in a consistent and stable state. So right just there, we hit a couple more potholes, but not really a big deal. Like I said, the differential locks keeps the torque where it should be. And now we've come up here. So, and like when we were in that muddy terrain earlier, I mean, you can put it into mud terrain mode, and that's going to make it to where the vehicle is very aware of the challenges that muddy and loose soil, slippery soil will pose. All right, so it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride. Overall, pretty comfortable now. Pretty comfortable overall. And we got this one last slope right here. Climbing up, we've got the GWM flag, our GWM Power 2.4T Off-Road Edition is about to make it to the top of this mountain. And here we are. How about that? We have made it to the top. Flag right there. Mission accomplished. High volunteer for our guy, proud of him. He brought us up here. Wasn't an easy job. Faced a lot of challenges on the way, but heck yeah. All right, man, how about that? We made it. I gotta say, at the beginning, I was a little doubtful. It was kind of a tough journey to get up here. Looking from the bottom, I was like, man, I don't know if we're gonna be able to get to the top of this mountain, but look, here we are. That is unbelievable. Simply amazing. We have conquered this mountain, drove all the way to the top. So, I mean, it was really an interesting journey coming over here. I mean, we began by driving through the water, so crossing that river was really a test of confidence, I would say, because at first, when I asked the driver, I'm like, are we planning to go through that stream, that river right there? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, is that a good idea? Like, I was kind of doubtful, because you saw the water, it went up maybe like half the tire high right here. So I was thinking, like, you know, that deep in the water, you could be looking at a loss of traction, kind of a slippery terrain there, all sorts of rocks and stuff. So you'd really be facing a high potential for slippage, loss of grip, loss of traction. But we threw this baby in the mud mode. It really redistributed the power, the output of the traction and all that, and kept us going forward at a very steady, very stable pace. And then we got to the foot of the mountain, right? We made it past that muddy ground, that sandy ground where we had loose soil. We got there with the sand mode, the mud mode, and then we get to the foot of the mountain, and now we start climbing. So this is where it really got interesting. And this was really, to me, a test of the stability of the vehicle and the comfort of the vehicle, because you saw us going up that mountain, and there was tons of potholes, tons of crevices, craters where you're dipping in and out, and the ground's up and down, and you're like sideways, you're this and that. But this thing has got a awesome high-powered suspension. It's also got great shocks on it, shock absorbers. So although we're going through a very rough environment, I myself am not feeling rough at all. I made it all the way up here. I did not throw up. I hop out of this car. I do not even feel nauseous. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable, even in a not very comfortable environment. And you got to really also thank this engine. We got the GWM Power 2.4T Off-Road Edition. That engine is a 2.4 liter turbocharged diesel engine that gives us the power 135 kilowatts, 480 newton meters of torque. That keeps us climbing up at a steady pace. And you know, when we're going up these mountain steep slopes, we're also really getting to try out that four-wheel drive. So we had the high speed, we also had the low speed. The low speed is crucial for maintaining a high amount of torque, even when our speeds are low and we're trying to keep the vehicle stable. So that was really cool. You also had the part-time four-wheel drive working there as well, kind of meeting any kind of challenge that we came upon along the way. So, you know, you had different elevations of ground, things that are very irregular that we're traversing. But that part-time four-wheel drive is able to intelligently distribute the power, the traction of the vehicle to give the torque to the wheels that are the effective wheels, the ones that have the grip. Because as we're going through this very irregular environment, you're coming across all sorts of ground that is, the environment's constantly changing. So 1 second your tires are on the ground, 1 second they're not. So that part-time four-wheel drive was also very instrumental in getting us here. High torque, a high amount of stability, and just, I'm very impressed overall with this vehicle to bring us all the way up here, see these awesome sights, top of the mountain. I am ecstatic about this, but this is just another one of our challenges, and we still got more challenges coming up. So I won't say any more. Let's get to it. We're on to the next part of our adventure. Let's keep this ball rolling. Let's see what else this truck has got in store for us. All right, so now we are beginning our descent. Oh my goodness. So this is about a 40-degree downhill slope right here. And I was getting ready, like bracing myself for a roller coaster ride down this thing. But you can see that it moves down really slowly. There's even an option on this vehicle for a slow downhill movement where it will control the vehicle's downhill speed. You don't even really have to mess with the brakes and the accelerator. Ooh, this one is, I think, even steeper than we were just on. This is luckily somewhat more flat ground though, but you can see very powerful brakes. I mean, this is a heavy truck, but even so, you have so much gravitational force pushing down on your vehicle, so much gravitational pressure, but this vehicle is able, and the brakes on it are able to slowly